The Pine Tree State has a lot of history. Bar Harbor is certainly no exception to that.
Will Wagner went to Bar Harbor Historical Society, where a matching fundraiser aims to preserve the town's past.
Thanks to a generous donation, Bar Harbor Historical Society will be hosting a matching fundraiser. Up to $10,000 will be matched by the anonymous donor.
$20,000 will really help us stabilize many of the objects in the collection, and although you see a lot on display, there's also an enormous amount that happens behind the scenes. So there's careful conservations of paper and textile and images that need to rest and be digitized so that we can save them for posterity. So having the opportunity to double this very generous match is extraordinary for us.
And I mean museum quality preservation. So it will be archival boxes and tissue, being able to have a location system so that when a researcher comes in to do research, we're able to identify where those objects are quickly.
With proper preservation, photos and artifacts from generations ago will be preserved far into Bar Harbor's future.
Bar Harbor has a rich and varied history, and being able to take personal family stories and objects, I mean, many of the garments that you see on the floor, we actually have the history of who wore them and where they wore them and how they're a part of the community connection. So it's really important for us to be able to save those things for future generations.
They hope to match the generous donation in the community.
While there's a $10,000, if we meet it, there's a $10,000 check at the end of it, we're able to raise an additional $10,000 from members of the community. So at the end, we're hoping to actually end up with $20,000 to support the collection and our mission of preserving the culture here of Bar Harbor.
Will Wagner, WABI TV5 News, Bar Harbor.
Tax-deductible donations can be made on their website at barharborhistoricalsociety.org.